You're halfway through a 12-hour security shift outside a bank branch when the call comes in. You've been standing there since dawn, watching the same line of customers shuffle through metal detectors and the same delivery truck idle in the loading zone across the street. The job is dull but stable. After 8 years in the Army and 2 years drifting between short-term contracts, stability is something you've decided to respect. At 11:13 a.m., a black SUV mounts the curb and stops in front of the entrance. You notice the vehicle before anyone else because your entire job is noticing things that don't fit the pattern. Delivery trucks park on the side street. Customers arrive in compact sedans. SUVs don't jump curbs unless something has already gone wrong. 4 men step out. They're not wearing masks. They're not shouting. They move with the confidence of people who believe they won't be stopped. One of them pulls a rifle from the back seat. The next 30 seconds decide the rest of your life. The first shot goes through the bank's glass door. Customers drop instantly. You move before you've fully processed what's happening, pulling your pistol and shouting for people to get down. The men sweep inside. This isn't a smash-and-grab robbery, it's fast, organized, and violent. You follow. Training pushes you forward even while the rational part of your brain argues that one guard with a sidearm has no business chasing 4 men with rifles. But training wins. Inside, chaos spreads in tight, controlled bursts. The robbers already have the manager on the ground near the vault corridor. One of them is covering the lobby. You shoot him first. It's not heroism. It's math. He's the closest threat, and you have a clear line of fire. He drops. Everything accelerates. One robber fires at you. You dive behind a counter. Plaster explodes above your head. Customers are screaming. The manager is still on the floor. Another robber drags a man toward the vault door. That man is older than the others. Well-dressed. Silent. Not a customer. A hostage. You move again because the alternative is waiting for someone to die. 2 more shots. One hits a robber's shoulder. Another misses. The room fills with the deafening echo of rifles and pistols firing in tight quarters. Then the unexpected happens. The older man moves. He grabs the robber holding him and slams the man's wrist against the vault keypad hard enough to break the rifle grip. The weapon drops. You shoot the robber before he recovers. The remaining attacker bolts for the exit. Sirens are already approaching. Someone must have called the police during the first shots. The gunman escapes through the shattered front doors, abandoning the entire operation. The bank falls silent except for alarms. You stand there breathing hard, realizing 2 robbers are dead, one is wounded, one escaped, and you're still holding a gun in the middle of a crime scene. The older man you just saved stands up slowly. He looks at you like someone evaluating a tool. He says nothing. Police arrive minutes later. Statements are taken. Cameras are reviewed. You're treated like a hero. The bank's insurance lawyers shake your hand. Local news runs a short segment about the quick-thinking guard who stopped a robbery. 3 days later, you receive a phone call asking if you'd be willing to meet someone about a private security opportunity. You say yes because that's what people like you do. You follow opportunities until they stop making sense. The meeting takes place in a quiet office above a restaurant you've never noticed before. The older man from the bank robbery sits behind the desk. He introduces himself simply as Mateo. He doesn't mention the robbery directly. Instead, he asks questions. How long were you in the army? What kind of training? How do you evaluate threats in crowded environments? What made you move toward the gunman instead of away? You answer honestly. The answers seem to matter. Then he tells you something else. The robbery wasn't random. They were trying to kill him. Not steal money. Kill him. He says it calmly, like someone discussing a business inconvenience. You ask what kind of business leads to that kind of attack. He studies you for a moment before answering. You already know, he says. You do. Everyone does. Mateo runs a cartel. Not the kind that appears in movies with dramatic shootouts and flashy wealth. The quieter kind. Logistics. Routes. Supply chains that stretch across borders and ports. The kind that moves billions without headlines. You stand up immediately. You say you're not interested. Mateo nods like he expected that answer. Then he slides a folder across the desk. Inside are printed photographs. Your mother leaving her apartment. Your younger brother outside his mechanic shop. Your old army buddy who still meets you for coffee twice a month. You stare at the pages. Mateo watches your reaction. I don't threaten families, he says calmly. That is not my style. But enemies of mine sometimes do. You realize what he's really offering. Protection. Money. And a job that will keep you permanently inside the world you've spent your life trying to stay just outside of. You move toward gunfire, Mateo says. That tells me something about you. You close the folder. You ask one question. What exactly would I be doing? He answers simply. Keeping me alive. You start Monday. The compound sits outside the city, protected by walls, cameras, and more guards than you expected. Your first surprise is how professional everything is. Security teams operate in shifts. Vehicles are armored. Communication protocols are strict. Most of the men working here are former soldiers, police, or contractors who followed the same path you did, skills acquired in one world that translate too easily into another. Your job sounds simple on paper. Stay within 15 meters of Matteo whenever he leaves secure areas. Coordinate with advanced teams before meetings. Evaluate threats. Neutralize anything that puts him at risk. The reality becomes more complicated immediately. Matteo meets dozens of people every week, suppliers, intermediaries, political contacts, rival negotiators. Each meeting carries the possibility of betrayal. You learn quickly that bodyguard work at this level isn't about muscles or intimidation. It's about decisions. You constantly run mental calculations. How many entrances does a room have? Who's standing too close? Which vehicle might be rigged? Which handshake lasts too long? You also learn something else about Matteo. He's careful. Not paranoid. Strategic. He listens more than he speaks. He pays people on time. He avoids unnecessary violence because violence attracts attention, and attention disrupts business. Your first year passes without a major incident. You become part of the routine. Morning security briefings. Vehicle rotations. Route planning. Matteo trusts you faster than expected. He begins asking your opinion before meetings. Too many men in that room? He asks once. Yes. He cancels the meeting. Later you hear the rival organization that arranged it was planning an ambush. Your value becomes measurable. The cartel moves roughly $12 billion in product annually through various distribution networks. Disruptions cost millions. Keeping Matteo alive keeps the system running. Your salary triples within 18 months. Your bank account grows. Your moral comfort shrinks. Because the longer you stay, the clearer everything becomes. You see the consequences. Drug shipments moving through ports. Money laundering operations disguised as construction companies. People disappearing when they threaten the system. You don't pull the trigger on those operations. But you stand next to the man who authorizes them. That distinction matters less each year. 3 years into the job, the first assassination attempt happens. It occurs during a highway transfer between compounds. You're riding in the second vehicle when the lead SUV explodes. The blast flips it sideways and sends debris across the road. You immediately assume the worst. But Matteo isn't in that car. He's in yours. You changed the formation 20 minutes earlier because a motorcycle had been trailing the convoy for too long. You had the vehicle swap positions. That decision saves his life. The ambush team opens fire seconds later from the tree line. Your drivers accelerate through the kill zone while security returns fire through armored windows. 2 guards die. But Matteo survives. Afterward, while reviewing footage of the attack, he looks at you differently. Not as an employee. As an investment that just paid off. Your authority inside the security team expands. You now command 12 men. You control route planning, personnel rotations, and counter-surveillance operations. Your decisions affect not just Matteo's life but the stability of the cartel itself. More responsibility means more compromises. One night intelligence reports that a mid-level lieutenant might be leaking information to rivals. Matteo asks your opinion. You review the evidence. It's circumstantial but troubling. Could be innocent, you say. Matteo nods slowly. Could also cost us everything. 2 days later the lieutenant disappears. You don't ask questions. But you know your analysis contributed to that outcome. Years pass. Your instincts sharpen. You identify threats earlier. You notice patterns others miss. A car parked too long outside a warehouse. A phone signal that appears repeatedly near convoy routes. A bodyguard from a rival organization whose eyes track Matteo too carefully. Each small decision prevents potential disasters. Each prevention strengthens the machine you now help maintain. Your internal justification evolves. If you left, someone else would replace you. Someone less cautious. Someone who might allow more violence, more chaos. You tell yourself you're reducing harm. The logic holds just enough truth to let you sleep. Until the night everything changes again. It happens during a negotiation with a rival cartel. The meeting takes place in a neutral warehouse. 30 men on each side. Weapons visible but lowered. Your job is simple, watch for movement that signals betrayal. Halfway through the conversation, you notice one of Matteo's own guards shifting position repeatedly. Too nervous. Too focused on his jacket. Your instincts flare. You step closer. Then you see it. A slight bulge under his shirt. Not a weapon. A vest. An explosive vest. You have maybe 3 seconds. You tackle Matteo to the ground. The explosion detonates behind you. The blast throws bodies across the room. Your ears ring. Your vision blurs. When the smoke clears, 14 people are dead. Matteo is alive. The bomber was one of your own men, planted months earlier by a rival organization. After that night, nothing is the same. Trust collapses. Security protocols double. Background checks become brutal. You personally interview every new recruit. You start sleeping 4 hours a night. Because the truth is clear now. No system is secure forever. Every organization eventually grows large enough to attract enemies capable of breaking it. And you stand at the center of that vulnerability. 10 years after the bank robbery, you realize you've become something different from the man who chased gunmen into a lobby. You manage intelligence networks. Coordinate armed teams across multiple compounds. Approve surveillance operations in 3 countries. You know the schedules of dozens of politicians and rival leaders because those schedules determine when Matteo travels safely. You also know that if he dies, because the job never ends. Somewhere, right now, someone is planning the next attempt to kill him. And when that moment arrives, you'll have only seconds to decide what happens next.